What's going on, guys? This is Riot with Riot Tech, and today we're going through a review of the Lamzu Thorn. So I've used it for about a week and a half, so I definitely have a lot to talk about today, so let's get into it. Alright, so getting into the weight of the mouse, this comes in at 52 grams compared to 63 grams for the DAV3 Pro. And the Vaxi Outset recently came out, and that's at 73, 74 grams, depending on the color. Now, you might notice the Death Adder V3 Pro was my main in the beginning of the year, and my wife has since taken the mouse over, and it is no longer my main. But the quality of the Thorn has been incredibly good. Compared to all the complaints over the last week for those who received the Final Mouse ULX, there's no issues on this beautiful piece of plastic. There's no rattles, no creaking after using additional force on the sides, no excessive movement of literally anything on this mouse. Like, it is very, 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 very well built. Even like if I can move this up really close, like there's a teeny bit of movement if I like try and pull this out a little, but there's outside of that, there's literally nothing. Like, this is very, very, very well built. One thing I did want to talk about really quick was the scroll wheel. Personally, for me, like after using the HTX, I love how rigid this feels. Like any little movement, I know exactly when it stops. Any other mouse I have on my desk doesn't feel the same. Like, compared to the Death Adder, I feel it a little bit, definitely more in the Thorn. So this is probably a better mouse compared to like anything else I have on my desk outside of the HTX. But it is just something that I wanted to mention really quick. Talking about the coating. So the coating to me is similar to the GPX. It does have that really soft, very nice feeling whenever you touch it. This does have more of a grip than the GPX does. I know several reviewers have mentioned that the black mice from Lamzu have a better coating, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the coating on the white is absolutely terrible. Like I said, it's similar to the GPX, and it does have more grip than the GPX does. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was the stock feet, and the stock feet honestly feel really good. I have no reason to change the stock feet on the Thorn. Honestly, like I've really been enjoying the stock feet. Don't feel like I need to change them whatsoever. Next, let's talk about the shape. So outside of the Death Adder V3 Pro, my first introduction to an ergo mouse was the original Model D from Glorious, and I absolutely hated it. As the first ergo mouse that I really got into, that's supposed to focus on comfort, it didn't feel comfortable at all, and my aim, like on Kovacs, dropped at least like 20%. Like, I went from being above average to straight dog meat just by plugging in a mouse, which was crazy to me. So since then, I've been a little apprehensive and a secret hater when it comes to ergo mouse. This is huge, and honestly, for my hand, you can tell it still fits really well. For palm, like, it is honestly perfect for me. It fits my hand great. Like, I have no complaints about this mouse. And compared to the Lamzu Thorn, so you can tell, I mean, it still fits my hand, and the way that I grip a mouse whenever I'm holding it, I keep my pinky in the corner, so it's very relaxed, closer more to a palm grip than it would be for claw. But you can tell my thumb is literally in the perfect spot for where this mouse is built. This honestly fits my hand like a pillow. You see how perfect this aligns with my thumb. This mouse is an ergo mouse, feels so good in my hand. And talking about the shape, you can tell that the Lamzu is a little shorter, and you can tell looking at it that it's a little lower whenever you're holding on to it, but this doesn't have as much of a curve. So on the inside, it has a little bit, but you can tell for the Lamzu, like, this curves in a ton. So like if I'm holding this, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little comfortable, but this curves in like literally perfect for where I have my thumb. So this feels super comfortable in my hand. So next, let's talk about the sensor implementation, and the sensor implementation for this mouse feels really good. I've primarily been playing a lot of Fortnite and Apex, and specifically for Apex, this feels really good when I'm tracking. So battery life, compared to anything for 4K, I do have it plugged in. Whenever I initially used a 4K on the HTX, this battery died in like 3 hours. The battery itself was terrible. They did upgrade it and update it with the firmware lately, and I mean, it's definitely a lot better than it used to be, so I will give props to them for that. But specifically when it comes to the Lamzu Thorn, I have been using 4K for like 3 days, 4 days, and haven't had to go to charge it again. I mean, it's been perfect. Like, I haven't had to do anything when it comes to charging. The optical switches, this compared to, I mean, this feels good, but I think the Thorn has a little bit less pre-travel and it's a little more tactile. So I mean, whenever I'm clicking, I mean, I barely feel like I have to touch it. This is just like a little bit more. But for the Lamzu, I mean, it feels really good. Obviously, both are spammable, but the way that these just feel so good. And you can tell if I move it up, it doesn't have a ton of pre-travel or post-travel. And you can see that it doesn't have a whole lot. I do have another video of this, but you can tell that there isn't a whole lot of post or pre-travel. And I mean, like I mentioned, I mean, compared to the DAV3, this feels a little bit more tactile and it's so quick. In terms of optical switches, this is probably one of the best optical switches that I've tried. The Lamzu Thorn. As an ergo mouse, the Thorn feels so good to me in my hand. Like I said, I mean, the way that I hold a mouse, look at how perfect the edge for my thumb is. Like, this is a pillow for my hand. It fits perfectly into my hand. And for those that have seen Ace Ventura, this fits like a glove. And like I mentioned, the sensor implementation, solid. The build quality, impeccable. No build issues, sensor perfect, optical switches, beautiful. I mean, this is an incredible ergo mouse. If you're thinking about getting an ergo mouse, yes, I still recommend the Death Adder. It is still an incredible mouse. If you have bigger hands, I would recommend this. If you have smaller hands, I would recommend the Thorn. But either way, you're getting a really good mouse. And I mean, like I mentioned, I have bigger hands, but this is it's so good. This is such a good mouse. Definitely one that I'm going to keep. If you have any questions, be sure to throw any questions you have in the comment section below. And if there's anything that you're wanting to see, anything that you're wanting me to review, let me know. I will pick it up and then let you know when I have a review coming after that. Until then, I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.